All right. Hello and welcome back to the Michael Edwards Show. Today I'm here with a very special guest, Ali Bond, all the way from New Zealand. Ali Bond is a entrepreneur, a speaker, and a coach. I met her at this amazing retreat in Laguna, and she actually sat next to me. And I loved her from the moment I saw her, from her fashion to her energy to her beautiful demeanor, and as soon as I got to know her, I found out she has an incredible story. So, Ali, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Can feel the love from New Zealand.
Yes, the love. We're all about the love. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Gosh, my story is fairly significant. I guess everybody's story is significant. I am 51. I'm a mum of four, and I have had a very large life in my 51 years. So back in my mid 20s, I was a real trailblazer and co-founded a business in a real male dominated industry. And that was my life really for 21 years. Built that up and then lost the lot through liquidation back in 2019. And that was going to be, I guess, a real pivotal moment in my life in terms of changing my life's trajectory. I just didn't know it at the time. Uh, Upon liquidating my beloved business, which really was like my first child, my then husband and I jumped on a plane to relocate to Australia, and we were running away. On reflection, we were running away from one ginormous mess, and I couldn't cope. And I guess what happened was about 6 months after relocating, all that mess from New Zealand followed us to Australia. And the impact of that put me straight into a real mental breakdown. And I guess I became very intimate with ground zero for many, many months. Weirdly, about a year later, I'm diagnosed with metastatic cancer. And for those of you that aren't sure what that label means, it's an incurable type of cancer. And at that same time, simultaneously, I was gifted faith. And that faith had me from being on my hands and knees to reaching for the stars. And I guess a great aha moment that I've been assigned this mountain or mountains to in my future show others how to move them. And so I bounced through about 9 months of pretty intensive treatment, losing hair, breasts, and I guess stripping myself back on the outside to who I was on the inside. And the rebuild of me has been, I guess, fairly intensive. And here I am all these months later, and I'm really living proof that I'm about to live my best life ever, having walked through the storm. So I'm a big believer that the storm descends to gift us learnings.
Oof, oof. And it's amazing because we talk about this a lot, but you really have lived it to such an extreme. And I think it's so beautiful when you can go through so much and look back on it like that. Like you said, I can't remember the exact words you used, but the redirect of your life that you didn't even know it at the time. And I know one of the things that you're very passionate about and talk about is success and failure. And I know one of your favorite quotes is that success isn't final and failure isn't fatal. So can you share a little bit about what that means to you?
I truly believe that. So success, in fact, that's my Insta handle, Ellen Bond NZ. And my Insta handle is success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And I love that word courage, as I believe it's the benchmark to the gateway to fulfillment, to happiness, to how we choose to live our lives on the daily. And I guess today's Tuesday, TUESDAY. But for me, I always look at Tuesday as being choose the day as well, CHOOSE. And so, courage is actually in all of us. And I think it's those ground zero moments that she appears. And I guess that's when the work really begins. When you are on ground zero, it's easy to be flying high, when you're on a high, that your learnings are really down at ground zero level. That for my, I guess, past and 51 years of wisdom, I've learned the most and I've grown the most in my hardest moments.
Mm. I couldn't agree more, and that oof, courage has been something that I feel I've obviously cultivated in different times of my life as well, but it's been a big theme this year too. So when you talk about cultivating courage in the hard times, like what exactly does that mean to you?
Courage for me is going inwards. And I've been blessed with this, I guess, DNA internally. It's like my internal, I sometimes liken it to my brain being in my soul, in my heart, and deeper down. And so, I tap into, I guess, zoning out the noise and just centering on that voice inside me that has always carried me through my hardest moments. And I guess, when you look at, I guess, climbing a mountain and you get to the top and the view is worth all the work, you've conquered the mountain once. So I always liken that now to anything that I face. I've faced all these other things before this mountain. I'll do it again. But I guess it's in all of us. We just have to tap into it, really. It's a bit like manifestation. To me, we can all manifest if we stop and drown out the noise and we just center into our, I guess, soul's calling. And so courage for me is a way of life and it's a choice. It's
Yeah.
actually a choice.
It's It's so interesting that, we have these rock bottom moments that force us to tap into courage. And then I think maybe you would agree that it's sort of that's the work as things get easier is to remember to be courageous, to remember to be brave. Would you say?
Def Definitely. And I couldn't tell you actually, Michael, what moment I was the most courageous because there have been so many challenges in life where I've been throwing bloody lemons and I've had to make lemonade. That it's now, I guess it's an innate part of my being is this courage. And being a mum of four, it's a gift and it's a choice that I'm teaching them to become more courageous too as little people. One isn't so little, one's about to turn 19, but the others are younger. Yeah, so it's a choice, but it's that voice inside you. And, courage does not always roar. Sometimes courage is that little voice that says, "I'll try again tomorrow." And let's
Mhm.
get really real with that. There are moments in all of us on our journeys that we don't have that great, I guess, power of courage. It is dialed back a bit depending on the circumstance and the day. But even on those days where you say, I'm going to try again tomorrow, you get up, you readjust your crown, and you keep on going.
I love that, and courage is so interesting to me too because there's this quote that I love. Someone said to me one time, and it just has never left my mind, that I would rather be courageous than fearless. And I have thought about that so much because I remember, hearing, "Oh, you gotta be like a fearless leader," and you would talk about superheroes being fearless, and it almost glorifies this idea of being fearless. But of course, we know we work with people so deeply that no one is really fearless. And if they say that they're fearless, they're lying or they're not stepping outside of their comfort zone. Because I think the real maturity is cultivating that relationship with fear and recognizing that courage is the resource for to face your fears, to face what you're afraid of. And when I was a performer, that was something that we used to do. I remember I lived in this house with and everybody in this house was obsessed with excellence, and we had this thing, it was like, do one thing every day that scares you, and it was like literally, "Oh, you feel afraid? Run towards that. You feel afraid? Run towards that." And it's interesting because when I stopped being a performer, I kind of lost a little bit of that, and I like to say got soft for a while. But then recently, there's been this real thing of remembering that and coming home to that and being looking at, "Oh, you're afraid of that? Run towards it." One of my mentors says, "We eat fear for breakfast." And I think really cultivating that courage, and it's not just the courage itself, it's almost like for me, it'd be interesting to hear for you as well. It's like the recognition of when fear comes up, that's the time to tap into courage. It's like fear is the flag that shows up that goes, "Oh, oh, some fear, need to go inwards and find some more courage."
I love that because, false evidence appearing real is fear in a nutshell to me. And today I had that little in my soul going, "Oh, got this podcast with Michael," and I thought, no, it's actually it's those moments where you have a bit of a, I guess, a bit of fear is when you do need to be drawn towards it because that's where you're going to grow, evolve, and learn. So yeah, keep showing me the fear, people, and I'll keep going where I need to go.
I love it, I love it. And so when did you become interested in personal development?
I've been interested in it really my whole life. I was raised by true global humanitarians. So my mum and late father were missionaries when I was a child. I was raised in Papua New Guinea. So I've been shown the most incredible example of parents that always looked to the other side of the street, those less fortunate or those in need, and have really gifted others in need tools of trade to become better people, generosity. My father ran a leprosy hospital for a time in Kathmandu at Lalgard out of Kathmandu. And so, yeah, my parents are just epic human beings. And I guess from very young, that desire to serve others became part of who I am. But certainly after losing everything financially, and then I guess my cancer journey, I went on a wing and a prayer and a desire to meet Suzanne Adams in Laguna Beach. And I didn't know why I had to meet her. I just knew I had to meet this woman I'd met on the gram because her energy was just calling me. And so I went to Laguna, obviously met you on my first day there. And then the next 2 days I sat there and literally left there, had about 4 or 5 days in LA. And on my way home, I just had this aha moment that made sense of everything that had happened before me, had brought me to this space to inspire, empower others. And although I'd had that moment throughout my cancer treatment, this was different. This was time framed. This was like an accelerated horsepower to get going. And as mad as people think I may be, I know where I'm going and I can see golden lights. Nobody else can see them. I went to a weekend away. It was the election in New Zealand for a new prime minister. So my daughter and I went to a property for the weekend. And on the way back, I could see these golden lights. And I said to Portia, "Can you see the golden lights?" And she said, "I can't see them, Mum." And those golden lights have been on the daily for me ever since. And they are just attracting doors, opening for me, doors that I'm not chasing, I'm
My
attracting.
goodness.
And it gives you chills. I've told people and they look at me as though I'm absolutely nuts, but they don't need to see the lights. I can see and feel them, and that's all that matters.
This is giving me chills because I'm sure you've seen the change in my brand recently because I am obsessed with the golden frequency. Like, I can't explain it. I feel it. I would say I feel it rather than see it energetically, but like, yeah, it's just like the golden frequency. And that's what I feel when you say the golden lights. Like, there's just something about it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just something. It's like, it's the frequency of possibilities, potentiality, all the magic, all the things. So good.
Mm.
So
So
good.
yeah, unbelievable. And that calling on the daily, I'm manifesting. And people say, what's manifesting? And everybody's got their own interpretation of that word. But literally what is happening to me is that my visions are just coming to fruition. And that daily Zen time of centering, I truly believe, and faith is taking me to where I am supposed to be. And it's just buckle in and enjoy the ride, Ellie. And that's what I'm doing.
And enjoy the ride. I love it. I wanna go back to something you said before because this is something, it's a principle and kind of an energetic that really interests me, is this idea that givers get. and that there's like there's like a real abundance in giving. And you're talking about that being a big part of who you are. Is that something that you feel is true for you?
Absolutely.
As a businesswoman, how have you navigated balancing those 2 energies of being really giving and turning, your eye and attention to the less fortunate, as you said, and then also recognizing, like, we live in the modern world, which is built off capitalism. How do you play with those energies together?
Well, I guess I'm moving into new territory with how I deal with those energies, because I guess in my past, my generosity became a real downfall to me financially, and there's a balance. So I feel like I am moving into this awakening or alignment where there's that balance. In the past, that wasn't there, and possibly that was a catalyst to my financial demise. Was overly giving and being overly generous.
I'm dying. These okay, so when I started doing this podcast, it was just I had no idea how much I was going to receive. I was like, I want to bring amazing people on. I want to have these conversations. I want it to be all about them. But every time we have one of these podcasts, there's something in it that I feel like I was like, that was for me. And I feel like that was for me. There was a code in there because I feel like that's something really important that I'm growing through. And exactly that is that realizing that there does have to be that balance, like you're saying. Otherwise, you kind of lose everything and then you have nothing to give, right?
That's so true, and it's not about being selfish, and it's not about capitalism. It's about balance, and it's integral, and being generous is important, and being a good person, giving back to me is something that will always be part of my life. I get far more enjoyment from giving than receiving. I think most of us are wired similarly, but you have to have that balance in business because it is a business. It's not a friendship club, it's a business. And I don't believe that you need to dull down your desire for financial freedom. And I don't think you do. I think that, New Zealand is a small country, and it's fair to say it's possibly quite a tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand. People don't celebrate financial success as other countries do. And I think it's something that could be really improved upon. We should be celebrating success. I really believe I saw this. Stephanie Martin from Our Wonderful Day shared a post on Insta last week, and I woke up to it, and I literally was buzzing all day because it contained in a sentence what I believe our world should look like. And it was collaboration is at the top and competition is at the bottom. And I thought, imagine if we were a world where rather that we were one big circle of love and light, and we were encouraging, inspiring those around us, and we were all elevating to live our best lives, and financial freedom was part of that. Why are we scared to say we want to become millionaires? Why are we scared
I'm
to
not
say
afraid to
that?
say it. That's
Yeah.
that golden frequency. There it is. It's so beautiful. And I was just like, just yesing to so much of what you're saying. And it's so funny that you mentioned the tall poppy syndrome because I had this experience recently when where I was in a group of therapists. And it's funny, it was actually an Australian woman that was talking about, oh, I can't stand these people that make their brand all about them and blah, 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 blah. And I know she was talking about me and people like me. But what it's so funny because those same people are, like, preaching confidence and preaching all of these things, but then it's like, "This is me confident." Like, I did so much work to get to this place where I'm owning my success and, like, owning my glory and, like, even just, like, some of these photo shoots and, like, just, like, being able to own my presence in the camera, like, it was so much of a journey to get there. "This is me confident," and then, these criticisms kinda come in and I made a comment about it, and someone actually said, "Oh, it's tall." It's another Australian said, "Oh, it's tall poppy syndrome." So it's so funny that
Wow.
I know it's so funny that you're bringing this in. But yeah, that's the thing. It's such a beautiful thing when you change your relationship with money and success. And I think we have this coding like that means it's greedy or whatever, whatever, whatever. I didn't understand for a long time why so many people in the coaching industry, money becomes such a big part of their business. I didn't really get it. But like something's really been shifting for me lately, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's like this collaborative energy, this frequency of success. And I don't even know how to say it fully in words. It's like it gives you this freedom and this power, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. I love, every day when it's like money's coming in, money's coming in, money's coming in. I have more and more and more and more freedom. And then I'm able to do more things and impact more people. And I'm able to bring people into my business. It literally feels like I have this shroud around me it like empowers me to do things. And I think when we and it's a resource too, that's the thing. I think when we can hold the energetics of money and the awareness that money is a resource, it just yeah, it changes our experience. And I think it's those two things together, understanding money as an energy, but then also understanding money as a resource. That harmony for me has just been completely changing my relationship. And it's honestly become, and it's I said for the longest time, I was like, I don't want my business to be about money, but it's as I crack this code more, I wanna share this with more people because it's such a pain point in people's lives, when if to be in a lack paradigm or have a difficult relationship with money, I think is one of the most painful and ever present things in life.
Well, I know that you shared with me at Laguna that you were once in that position where you had nothing.
Yeah.
And I guess when you rise, and I can share the same positioning as you were in, and I know that I guess as I rise, my respect for money has shifted. So I have a different respect towards money, but unapologetically, I guess I'm rising to become more successful than I've ever been in my past life. And unapologetically, part of that is financially. And I think that when you start to, I guess, talk the way rather than wait for your 3 year, whatever your plan is in terms of financial freedom or success, rather than think about, start acting like it.
Mm.
Start imagining that your bank balance has that in it. Start walking with your shoulders high and owning who you're becoming right now rather than waiting for the years to pass to arrive then. I'm a great believer in that. And that's opened doors for me on an energy level, on a positive energy level that I guess is being magnetizing. People are drawn to somebody. Yeah, I'm emulating who I want to become. I'm not waiting for the 1,000 clients before I become her. It's a choice today.
Yeah, and what you're really saying is the energetic match. That's how I like to talk
I,
about it, right? When you decide you're worth $1,000,000 when you have nothing, you become the match to be a millionaire. And that doesn't mean that there's not a whole journey in the material to get there, but it's the deciding first that is just so powerful. I think it transforms us in so many ways. And I know it's interesting. I relate this often back to being a performer. So many performers are waiting to get found. They're waiting for their big break. And I think many of us have this approach to life. We're like waiting for that thing rather than realizing, and I talk about this a lot in my containers, it's that claiming it first. Like people are like, but you're Michael Edwards. I'm like, yeah, but only because I said I'm gonna be Michael fucking Edwards and I'm gonna be a big fucking deal like that. Like I decided that before I was me, before I was anyone. I decided that I was gonna be this, and they
I
become
can
more.
feel it.
Yeah, right. Like people feel it in my energy. They're like, I just saw you. I saw whatever. But I used to live in my mom's basement. I had lost all my personal power. It was just a mess. You wouldn't even recognize me. And obviously there was a whole journey to get here, but like every level I claimed it before I became it. And it's that I love what you're talking about because it is that claiming it first. And people don't realize that you really do have that much power to claim it and to energetically become it before it manifests in the material. And that's in fact, that's how it manifests in the material. Otherwise, it's just like a wish or it just feels like an impossibility. And if you believe that it's an impossibility, then it will be an impossibility, not because it is, but because you make it so because you believe it.
And it's your courage. It's your courage by taking that process forwards. It all goes back
Yeah.
to courage.
Yeah, it
Courage is
does 100%. I know.
gateway. It's the gateway to success. It's the gateway to financial freedom. It's the gateway to stepping outside of where you are now to who you want to become.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that word courage.
'Cause it's scary, isn't it? It's scary. And I think you open the door to the unknown, where there's failure and pain and embarrassment and all of these things. But also in the unknown is everything you've ever wanted and everything you've ever dreamed of and everything you haven't even dared yet to dream of. So it takes courage to open that door.
Day one or one day?
Ooh, you're just full of these one-liners. I love it. So good. So, how do you think that personal development and all of this awareness has shaped your life?
I am so grateful for all I've been through. I'm so grateful for the losing everything financially. I'm so grateful for the cancer. I'm so grateful for being in shitty relationships that have shown me what I will not tolerate moving forwards. I just am in this, I guess, zone of life where I'm in true alignment with my soul and my purpose. And it is a very comforting place to be in. And I guess, Michael, I know no matter what hell is put in front of me, I'll climb it. I know that now. I just know that it all makes sense now why I had to go through what I went through to become a better version of me. And I love me now more than I ever did when I had the business, the flash cars, the dream life on the outside.
Yeah,
And I wake up and I just have the golden lights are there.
the
And
golden light.
it is magical, and they are there. They are there. I think them, and people think I'm batshit crazy. And I guess in a couple of years' time, you and I'll get back together again, and we'll be talking about these golden lines and all that they led me towards because they are absolutely real to me, and that's all that matters. And I'm following those golden lights, like I guess, like the Wizard of Oz, loving those golden lights.
That's all that matters. And you said something interesting again about climbing whatever hills put in front of you. And something I talk about a lot is this like no matter what energy. I think really tuned into that in my life before I even had those words. But something that's really interesting to me is this sort of combination of those 2 energies because manifestation is really the process of ease. You know, it's the ability to call things in, the ability to sort of see it and claim it as we're talking about. But then when you talk about climbing whatever hills in front of you, that's a lot of effort. So, how did those 2 energies kind of come together in your life?
I think it's just a way of living now for me because at
Mm,
51, you recognize that life is a roller coaster. So Ronan Keating, when he wrote that song, was on point with those words. As life is a roller coaster for everybody. But nobody gets out of life with a free pass, with no hill to climb per se. And my energy for whatever reason at the moment is all aligning. And it's been a process. It's been a lot of dedication to uncluttering the junk in my trunk, Michael. And I guess when you purge from your life things that no longer serve you, it's liberating. But along the way, you have to own the mess that you need to own and forgive yourself for it, and then you become lighter. And I've found this is an interesting word, and people have different, I guess, opinions about the word forgiveness. But for
mm,
me, it's been really paramount in terms of reaching a place of peace. And so I've had to forgive myself for mistakes that I've made primarily. And then I've had to forgive others. And I've learned that you can actually forgive people from afar. You don't need to go and tell people that you forgive them.
yeah.
You can forgive them from afar, and in the process, you become lighter and your soul starts to heal.
Oh my goodness. It's so wild to me how all of these different people in different places in the world have all of this different life experience, but converge through wisdom and experience on these same realizations and these same teachings. And this is something that I am so huge on is that it's a lot of the stuff is so much more about letting go than it is about, right? Like when you think about stepping into the identity and claiming something that you want, I think it's like 10% stepping into it and like 90% letting go of all the heaviness, of all the crap that's in your system that's in the way. And I mean, I think this is why healing is so important. And to me, like self-forgiveness is one of the biggest the biggest clearings and letting go. So I think it's so beautiful, and I couldn't agree more with what you're saying.
Cathartic, actually, cathartic. I asked my mother, my darling mother, to create some words about me for my website.
Uh-huh.
And she sent them to me this morning, and like, as she put them on my gram today, and they're the most beautiful words. I'll treasure them till the day I die. And yeah, she really nailed it when she put into words, I guess, my life and where I'm heading to. And she referenced, the most beautiful people in the world come from brokenness, and it's actually true. It's where you find your true beauty is through compassion, and that those ground zero moments create heroes. I really believe that.
I feel that in the soul. It's so beautiful. Do you wanna share any of those words with us?
Shall I read them? Shall I read
Yes.
them?
Yes, of
Um,
course.
shall I read them? The memory isn't as good word for word when you're 51, Michael. There you go. She wrote this. Ellie came into this world with a quick, soft landing. From her birth, she exhibited spontaneous joy at the gift of life, happy, content, and loved interacting with others. Through the primary years of living in a third world country, then coming back as a family to settle back in New Zealand, she faced the enormous change of such diverse cultures and way of life. She's overcome many difficulties with her grit, her creative flair, and love of life. When faced with enormous odds of disappointment and brokenness, she's always risen from the ashes with a newfound strength and wisdom. Facing a life limiting cancer, again, she's risen with a sense of compassion and understanding that this is her time to encourage and inspire others in restoring brokenness to gratefulness, purpose, and strength for the journey ahead. And then she included this. These are the words of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. These are a reflection of my LA. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These people have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and deep love and concern. But beautiful people do not just happen.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, off. She's an off mum today. She bought the words today, that's for sure.
So beautiful. What a beautiful reflection to have from your mom as well. I love it. And you have for your website because you have a new business launching soon, is that right?
The launching Bond Incorporated, which is like, it's my dream actually, Michael. My dream has been to create a life where work wasn't work. It was enjoyable. So this is what I'm creating. So the business is going to start with socials on the 1st of December, but really we're launching in the new year. And so Bond Incorporated is going to have public speaking. There's going to be masterclasses, coaching, and podcasts once I get the courage to do podcasts, and also apparel. So I've teamed up with one of New Zealand's iconic fashion designers that for many years I was one of her, I guess, A-list clients, would sit in her front row at Fashion Week. And so we're doing a line of incredible blazers and some, yeah, amazing trousers for women, and then unisex, very high quality t-shirts.
Amazing.
Unapologetically expensive. We're going to the high end, Michael, and unapologetically so.
We love high-end, baby. You're s
So true.
you're speaking my language.
I'll have to send you I'll have to send you the blueprints for the designs. But yeah, it's very exciting. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Is that in a nutshell?
So good. I'm so excited for you, and I'm just
And,
yeah, I'm
and what's
go
crazy is that when I lived in Melbourne, I met this phenomenal woman, Mia, who's in the creative industry. She has a media business and a photographer friend of hers. And, we had this aha moment because they're doing all the socials for me and the brand identity creation. And we had this aha moment where it was, we met back then because of this opportunity now. And we all had like chills, and it is like synchronicity. It makes absolute sense while we met back in Melbourne was for what's yet to come.
I oof. I have feel this so deeply that we are given pieces of the puzzle before we know what it is that we're doing and putting together. And sometimes you have these moments and you look up and you look back and you're like, wow, my whole life set me up for success for this. So that's incredible. What do you want to be known for?
What do I want to be known for or remembered for? Because they're at the two that they're possibly two different things. But what I want to be known for is a woman that is impeccable with my word. My word's my bond. I want to be remembered for somebody that takes somebody and really taps into their true purpose and has them leave their time with me on their way to success. That is very important to me. I'm not going to, I guess, have anybody join my coaching or my business and not have them graduate with honors. And if that means me having to put more time into them to achieve that, then that will be my commitment to them. What I want to be remembered for by my children is quite different than that, because I want to be remembered for values that are very similar to my parents, actually, but I attached to that, I want to be successful financially. And I want them to know that their mother, against all odds, with courage, persevered. When all the doors closed on her again and again and again and again and again, my mum rose up and she went back to buy the bloody buildings with an S. Not just the building, but the buildings. And so I've set that for myself as a as part of my manifestation daily. Actually, Michael, I'm coming back to buy the buildings. And so unapologetically, I can put it out to the universe that that's actually, yeah, it's part of legacy too, is the financial part. And I'm not embarrassed to say that.
I love it.
But
And you light up when you talk about it too.
so it's those damn lights.
And so when you talk about your manifestation daily, what does that look like?
I set myself 30 minutes a day. Now, I didn't start doing any meditation work at all until literally about 9 months ago. And now it's part of my daily ritual. And so I am literally pouring into myself where I am going to be, not where I think I'm going to be, but where I'm going to be 5 years from now.
Mm.
And so I actually talk to myself because children are at school. I claim it, I visualize it, and I own it. And I am adamant that in a global space where there are so many coaches, mentors, motivationalists, I don't want to recreate somebody else's voice. Being authentic to me is very important. And so I saw something today actually, and it said that you're pretty much born, the word wasn't genuine, but it was similar to that.
The you're
Don't
born closest to the unique essence that you'll ever be, and then you just get further
uh,
away from it. Yeah.
and don't die being a copy
Yeah.
is what it. And I loved that. I really loved it. And so I've been working on my own little manifestations and also and it's come really easily. I've just actually just sat with myself and encouraged for the words to flow. And they're nobody else's words, but Ellie's words.
I love it.
So
So beautiful. So much wisdom in what you're saying. And so if there's one if there I mean, that was a pretty powerful message, but if there's one message that you would wanna share with everybody in the world, what would that be?
courage. And no matter what you're faced with, tap into your unique soul blueprint. Find her. Find her and tap into her. That is your gateway to success and freedom. And when a door closes, another one's going to open at the right time. Keep knocking on doors until that right door opens. And sometimes you've actually got to stop knocking on any door and actually align with your soul and know that it's not the right time. And then know that when the right time is again, you will know in your soul when to try again or to follow another course. I really believe that tapping into your soul is something that anybody can do. And once you find your soul and listen, you'll find your purpose.
I love that so much. It just reminded me of this quote. I was just looking now, I've gotta share this with you. Someone I believe that this friend of mine used to work with Chris Jenner, and this is where he heard the quote, but, she said, apparently, "If you don't take no for an answer and you are hearing no, it's because you're asking the wrong person." And I love
Love
that. I
that.
feel like that links
Love
into
that.
what you're saying about knocking on the doors. I
I
just
love
love
that, and I love her actually. She's an example of actually of somebody that has just opened door after door, and the ones that have closed, she's just kept charging. I love high energy, and yeah, that is everything.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. And I'll ask you where people can find you in a moment, but is there anything else you wanna share with us?
Yes, I would actually, because I've been through, I guess, an extensive cancer journey. When I got diagnosed with cancer, and it was not only breast, it was little imposters in the lung. I was told by an oncologist that there would be no treatment for me in one little visit. She pulled up a chair and said that I no longer fitted the criteria for that type of treatment. And it would be more along the lines of palliative care.
Mhm.
And so I would like to say this to anybody out there that has a medical diagnosis. Remember that our oncologists, doctors are not God. They are not you. And I would say to anybody, if in doubt, get a second opinion and then get going to rise above what you've been dealt. I'm such a believer in that because I see so many. I've entered a world now where I connect with a lot of cancer survivors and thrivers. And along the way, you actually get a bit of survivor's guilt because you lose some epic people that don't make it through no desire of their own or no hard work of their own, just the way that the universe works. That I am part of this international group of cancer thrivers. And our commonality is that we never settled for that diagnosis and we kept going. So, yeah, I just recommend anyone out there, if you're having a hard time, just know that these moments pass, they're seasons for reasons. And I'm 51, living proof that age is no barrier.
This is such an incredible message to share, and this is really reminding me of when I was doing my hypnotherapy training and learning about how powerful the mind is. Because I was like, there were crazy things that we were learning about in school and all these things you could use physical issues. And so I was really curious. And so I was just, doing my own anecdotal research. But I one of the things that I did is I asked all of these people that had survived cancer, what was it that you think got you through or made the difference? And every single person that survived said the same thing. And they were just like, "I just decided that it was, like, no way in hell this was gonna take me out." And it's so amazing just the power of our I feel like mindset is the way that we think about it at one level, but it really goes so beyond that. It's like the conscious creation of our reality, but I think, yeah, our ability to affect change and decide it goes way beyond just our financial status or our success. It goes down to affecting the very cells in our body, and I believe this very deeply as well. So I'm so happy that you shared this with us today.
Thank you. It's
And
been a golden hour. It's been a golden
it has
hour.
been a golden hour. I love it. And where can people find you?
Ellie Bond NZ is where you'll find me on the gram.
On the gram. And of
On
course,
the
just as always, we'll put any other links for Allie below. You can find those in the show notes. Allie, thank you so much for joining me today.
big hugs from New Zealand.
Biggest hugs in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sending you so much love
Right
and
back.
bye. And bye for now.